Can we get people to stop using their phones? We all have adapted to using phones, but it's a very short period of time in history, right? So what if we can now take a thought that's in our head and immediately turn it into action? And we see a product in a shop and we say, oh, can you add that in a basket? Is that available online in Uniqlo, for example? And the AI goes and puts it in your basket and you can go home, but you might be able to tell it to just go and make the purchase for you because they don't have the size in the shop. And so this interactiveness of AI is coming, and it's coming really rapidly.
Ricky, welcome to the Oxford Talks podcast. How's life today?
It's good. It's not as hot as the last few days, so feeling good.
Amazing. And for the folks who don't know, what do you do? What is it that you do?
Yeah, so I co-founded a business called Push. For the past 18 years, we've been helping businesses grow fast. Initially, that's been through digital marketing transformation. So in the early days, convincing people that they need a website and that people were going to start searching for their products and services on Google. And today we do that through AI in marketing. And we work across platforms like Google, TikTok, Meta, running campaigns for businesses on those platforms. And we offer consultancy services, training, and campaign delivery as well.
I'm going to jump straight into it. So AI, that is the hot topic. And it has we used to think creative was the last thing AI is going to touch. Turns out it was the first thing it touched, and it's completely overhauled the way marketing is done and how content is made. What are the big shifts that you have seen recently, and how is it changing the decision making at Push?
That's a great question. So for me, when we look at AI in marketing, there's two ways we can approach it. One is, how do businesses, agencies like us or businesses, use AI to be more effective in their marketing? But I think the bigger question, and the one I think which is the one we all need to really pay attention to, is how are the consumers changing their behavior? Because that is the big shift. Back in 2007, when we started the business, people started to search on Google and started to explore those platforms to look for information, research, and buy products. And then we had social media, and people started doing that on their phone. And what we're seeing today is people are going to LLMs like ChatGPT, these AI tools, and that's becoming their primary point of research. And they're starting to bypass going on platforms like Google, and they're doing their own research, gathering information, and making decisions faster than ever before. So that window of research, consideration, and purchase is collapsing, and time is collapsing, both from deployment of campaigns, but also how we're actually buying products as well.
A few days before, we had a guest from OpenAI, and we were talking about agentic AI. And I think that is another sort of way to look at this whole model, as you mentioned, that how before a person used to be, research and then consider and then purchase. Do you think people are going to be outsourcing that behavior as well, that just telling it, this is what I need, go make it happen for me, down to the checkout as well?
I think it's something that inevitably will come to, but as humans, we're all a little bit afraid, and we still want a level of control, right? So at the moment, what people want is information they can make an informed choice on and then go make their decision themselves.
Yeah.
But slowly, as these tools improve and we start to trust them more, we're going to go down that route where people are going to have almost like this agentic automated flow where the AI are making decisions for them in terms of research and then taking the action as well. I'll give you a great example where I think we could be heading. So the Meta glasses, AI glasses. So imagine if you could have a pair of glasses and you could be walking around on the streets and you could have a thought in your head that, oh God, I didn't send this email to somebody. And you can just say, hey, Meta, can you send this email to someone? Can you type this out? Or can you tell me the directions? I need to go to this place. All of a sudden, your trust with that AI is totally changed. You don't need to go on a device. You don't need to type something. You don't need to remember it, put it on a to-do list. Or you can tell the glasses, put it on my to-do list, or can you action it? And I think this is where Meta, for example, is putting a lot of resource behind that. Can we get people to stop using their phones? We all have adapted to using phones, but it's a very short period of time in history, right?
Yeah.
So what if we can now take a thought that's in our head and immediately turn it into action. And we see a product in a shop and we say, oh, can you add that in a basket? Is that available online in Uniqlo, for example? And the AI goes and puts it in your basket and you can go home, but you might be able to tell it to just go and make the purchase for you because they don't have the size in the shop. And so this interactiveness of AI is coming, and it's coming really rapidly.
Ricky, I want to step back. I think we're talking about right here as things happening in this moment. How did you get involved in the business in the first place? Walk me through the history, because you started the business with Steve ages ago, I think around 2007, if I'm not wrong. Yeah. Life has changed quite dramatically, especially in the marketing world. How did you get involved in the first place, and what were the big shifts that you had to go through talking about AI today, which is the current sort of thing that we're working on?
Yeah, so really it was looking at a career change. I was in computer component distribution, which was a very fast growth industry because it was at the period where businesses were starting to implement computers for everyone, not shared computers. That was from the late 90s until about 2004, 2005. And I decided that I wanted to start my own business, and I could see that this internet thing was really about to take off. So basically I just changed careers completely and went headfirst into learning about the internet, learning about how it was going to change consumer behavior and how it might impact marketing. And yeah, the challenges we faced was convincing people that this was going to be a shift that was going to happen.
Did you have the yellow books chat with 4 people that don't stop using yellow books, and they said no?
Yeah, exactly that. Exactly. Funny, I was thinking of that as I came along as an analogy. Exactly that. The yellow pages. Some people don't even know what that is.
Yeah.
And that was the way we used to go and find information, call somebody and decide to make a purchase or not. And now we go to Google. That changed. That behavior just changed. It suited me because it was really, I'm quite an analytical person. It was working with numbers and data. So that was the thing that we really built the business on. We used to do things like build websites and run email marketing and all this, or everything to do with digital, but we really specialized on paid advertising from about 2012 onwards.
Because paid advertising has existed, I don't know, since the first marketplaces popped up in the world, and you pay someone to be on the front when the moment the customer comes in. You pay slightly extra for your booth right there because you can make more sales. How it is walk me through the historical aspect of how hard what it is to sell the internet ad space, because for I can see the tangibility of buy some space in newspapers. I think there was a behavior that yes, I'm buying something physical. Distribution is this. But when you were shifting towards internet, what were the core conversations that I might sort of come back to later in the AI space that you might think, okay, people are not understanding the tangibility of you might be able to buy Google ads and it's going to give you this distribution. What were the challenges you were facing when you were having those discussions with people?
Yeah, so one of the challenges we used to face quite a lot on a regular basis was when we used to speak to marketing managers. They would say, oh yeah, when I search, I see those ads, but I don't click on them. So they were almost distrusting of it and saying, yeah, I can see the ads, but I don't click on them, so nobody else will. So it was something in a limiting belief to them because they didn't do it. They didn't think this was going to take off. They were like, no, we don't really want to appear in that space. We just want to appear in the free, what they call organic listings, but we don't want to pay for that space. And it took us to really explain, well, hold on, this can be really more targeted than putting an ad on a website, for example, like buying space, because now we can put an ad against what someone is actually searching. And so we can see that intent of that person. And I think when people started to understand that, we can see there's 10,000 people searching for buy a winter jacket, and I can have my ad there and then when that someone's looking for it, when that intent is high, that started to then change the narrative behind it. And then you had things, all the analytical and measurement tools behind it, made it very easy to prove a return. Look, we've spent this much on this many people clicking on your ad and we've seen this many sales. The minute we could do that, that changed the game completely.
Yeah. And was it the same conversation when social came along, post 2009, 2010-ish era? Facebook, Meta now was a big player in them. And I think Instagram, I think they bought them and became another. And again, across so many different countries, I think now even they're trying to monetize WhatsApp as well. But was it the same conversation that my kids use Facebook, I don't use Facebook? Was it the same, or do you think?
Yeah, exactly. And I think with each platform you get something different. So Instagram would be, maybe the audience is a little bit younger for me. That's my consumers aren't on there. And the same thing with mobile. Take mobile as an example. It's like we had many clients that didn't really adapt their strategy to a mobile first strategy. They're like, I don't think people are going to buy this product on a mobile phone. It's crazy, the kind of thing that someone will only do on a desktop. Like take travel, for example. No, nobody's going to just search for something on a mobile and book a hotel or book a holiday. Whereas now it's a very, very common thing. Everybody does it, but you would always run into these things. Same thing happens with TikTok still today. The audience is still too young. My audience aren't on there. Yet we know that there's a big audience of people over 50 who have disposable income that are on TikTok buying products and services from there.
Ricky, as a small business owner myself, what should I be looking at in terms of AI and ad spends? We're slightly not afraid, but we're not going to say the same conversations that you said, like, our consumers don't use AI, so we're not going to use. It's the nature of the product that is a large language model that people are going to be asking a lot of questions with, and it might feed you some results here and there. As a company, are you guys relying on what the product side of what they allow you to do? Or there is an active strategy from your side that people are going to be on GPT more and more, Perplexity and all of that. And they're not, if I'm not wrong, they're not allowing any ads as per se at the moment. So how would you sort of permeate that consumers might want to, if I say, give me the best, soap that I can use. You want to, you do a Google search, they'll come up with lavender and this and all of those other different options. But when you ask that question to GPT, it's not going to give you 100 pages. It's going to give you whatever is there, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of them. How are you looking at this space?
Yeah, so it's actually the most exciting space, and the one we're finding that the businesses we work with are most excited about as well, because what we're able to do now is in the same way that we would track and target keywords, a prompt, so what you would type into an LLM is like a keyword, but it's longer because you're giving it more context. You're saying, I'm interested in going on a holiday to Disney. I want to know all the options, staying on site, staying off site. You can ask a really long question with everything that's in your head and get a good answer. And so what we're able to do now is actually understand what people might be questioning, what prompts they're using, and then we can actually study them and see, where do they appear their brand on ChatGPT, Perplexity, and Gemini, and see, do you have a good share at the moment or do you not have a good share? And then we can also see, by tracking the competitors, are they being shown when someone's making one of these prompts?
Can you change that somehow?
You can, yeah, exactly. So what you can do then is you can see, this company is appearing more than me. And then it also tells you in some of the tools that we use, which websites the LLM is using to go and get the information. So the LLM, like ChatGPT, is not only using information it already has stored within its own database, it's also going out to other websites. And so it's essentially, it's like it's doing the Google search for you. It's doing the Google search, it's taking 20 websites, it's pulling all that information together and then answering your very specific question. So what you could do, or what a business could do, is understand where is the LLM going, and each one's different. Gemini will go to a different set of websites. ChatGPT will go to a different set of websites. And you can see, okay, well, these are the websites that I might want to get my product or business listed on, or I might want to create my own content. And that's actually where you can kind of hack the system and make something powerful. So you can, for example, I'll give you an example that we've done. We've made a blog called The Top 9 AI Marketing Companies, and we're number 1. And we listed other companies. So we've listed our competitors on there. But the LLMs pick up that document because we've got credibility in this space, because we've won AI awards, because we're doing a lot of activity, we have a lot of good signals. The LLM goes and finds our own article and then lists us. So there's a lot of way brands can use their own information, even with other competitor information, do kind of, unbiased reviews and get themselves listed in that space. So, but this is really new. This is really developing now. It's starting, and our industry loves acronyms. and no one's quite decided on what the acronym yet is. Is it AEO, which would be AI engine optimization? Is it GEO, generative AI engine optimization? So there's all these acronyms going around, but ultimately, how can you help businesses get listed in these LLMs is something everyone is actively looking at doing now. Because especially like ChatGPT, for example, in April, they announced that they're now going to be surfacing products within the LLM.
Yes.
So it's not just text. And then soon, to your question earlier, you'll be able to go directly and make the purchase from the LLM as well.
Yes, and I'm not going to tie in my our other work with Onyx Pay, because that's exactly where we see the behavior is going to go. I think, and one of the applications of stablecoins we feel like is going to be quite instrumental. That these models, if you have stablecoins plugged into them, they can make the transaction for you, and anywhere from same. You don't have to do conversions, and you don't have to do any of that, and you can buy products straight from, let's say, China or Japan or anywhere in the world. I think the industries are kind of verging, and I feel like it's a great oneness coming along. But I want to ask you this question: how susceptible your work is to whatever the platforms design versus a bit of an agency from your side? Is it always going to be Yellow Pages, then Google Ads, then social, and now these generative engines, versus there is something that consumers can interact where you have a bit more agency in creating? Does that make sense, I guess?
Yeah, I think you're asking like, where do you prioritize?
In a sense that way, because I always think that it's where the attention is when it comes to products. Like billion people are using WhatsApp, and tomorrow if they open up to be ads, then you're going to be optimizing your strategy. You're going to be advising clients based on what's already there, versus creating something of your own that perhaps can connect the consumer and the purchaser and the sort of seller together, rather than always relying on either social platforms or search engines. Because again, these are products from those companies, right? And they can, and as much as we've seen, they can change them any day without giving you, perhaps, unless I guess you are partners with these big companies. They give you a bit of like an advance notice, and you know these kind of things are going to happen. But that's the question, like your own agency in terms of this should be the product versus what the platforms want you to do.
Yeah, it's difficult because we have to look at where is the consumer, and the consumer are on all these different platforms. I think if you're asking about how you can take a bit more control, I think where AI is helping with that is the ability to prototype and build apps there. You can start to build your own audience, and then you can run your own email marketing and build a bit of a community. I think that's something we're going to start to see is going to happen more and more, because we can essentially, whatever idea either of us have for our businesses, we could pretty much with AI within a day have a landing page up, a wait list, an email system all integrated and set up, and do some test marketing. But you'd still need to use the platforms to get the awareness and attention, but you want to try and bring it into your own ecosystem, if that makes sense.
Are you seeing this behavior a lot, that a lot of businesses are creating their kind of mini ecosystems? And for example, there was a platform I came across the other day. I knew about them before, but I saw the stat that Kajabi, I think, is a very popular for courses and stuff. Creators are just posting their content directly on there, and I think they've done, if I remember correctly, more than $6 billion in payouts. Now, by no margin, that's a small number at all. And in my head, the thought just went, okay, instead of me, consumer, going to YouTube for entertainment, for, I don't know, cat videos, dog videos, whatever, and then being given the ads of this thing or buy whatever, I know intentionally I'm going to go to Kajabi because I want to learn this thing. And here are these sellers who want to sell me those courses, and there's just no ad in between whatsoever. And I feel like if Kajabi has that kind of a tech platform that the sellers can just post their content and everything, what's stopping from individual businesses to, again, as you said, creating their own mini ecosystems and be reaching out to consumers directly rather than using Google or anything in between? I know it's a huge question. Google is not a small company at all. They are like billions and billions of people use it every day. But does it pose a risk for you that instead of as we talk, instead of having a bit of a fragmented market, it's coming even more fragmented in a one way that everyone has their own ecosystem. How do you decide, what AI strategy, what ad strategy is going to work for anyone? I know it's a long question, but I hope it.
Yeah. I think when you think about those tools like Kajabi, I think one of the key things for me there to take away is actually the ability to create material and content for a community is easier than ever with AI. So that's the first thing. Everyone can take their expertise and develop it into AI videos, AI training programs. So that's the first. That actually is a really first step to try and engage people, and use that, and then put them on the different platforms. But you do run into, I think, a limit of distribution, because only so much we can all do. And this is where the AI comes in terms of marketing efficiencies, like prioritizing where you want to have all your content distributed. And I don't think we're there yet, because there's still a nervousness from brands to go out and trust the AI to take their content and just post it on different platforms. But I do think that the only way to win in the new world we're going to be listed on the LLMs, and to have a wider base that's not so reliant on the platforms, is start putting your content in lots of places.
Also, it's going back to like the distribution strategy. So you think the platforms because I recently heard that Google is gonna start indexing Instagram posts as well. So you're saying that, okay, let's just go all back to these platforms which you already have and just bombard it with more and more context and content, because that's where the AI is going to pick up everything from. Yeah,
exactly. And so in some of the studies that we've done, we've seen that, for example, if we take Perplexity versus Gemini uses for different, let's take our business, for example, it uses a lot of LinkedIn posts for information. We've seen Perplexity will go to a website called Search Engine Land and get information. We've seen ChatGPT will go to certain other different websites. So we're starting to see that already, that they're all not just going to the same set of data, and they're looking across the whole internet. So the main thing is to really build these trust signals, I would say. Your reviews are good. They can see your contents in different places. Your community are talking about your product as well, because the AI it's normally answering questions that consumers are asking. So what it's doing then is going to look for evidence of that people are rating these products or services quite highly as well.
Brilliant. Ricky, I want to go one step back from distribution to the creation of work. What new insights do you have for us to share on that? How creators are being super intelligent / creative, because now the ability to just create more content is there. What is going to cause that kind of a differentiation? That, I mean, I have the same AI as you. What am I need to do? How and I need to do to make sure that I'm still differentiated, I'm still a brand, and I have my own bit of an identity amongst anyone can just copy the creative material? What are the insights from that side of the work?
Yeah, so we often talk about this like pyramid structure. So essentially everybody's using an LLM. Everybody's using ChatGPT, Perplexity, or Gemini. So that's almost base level. Like you said, it's like, how do I stand out and differentiate myself? And for us, that means that you start to use your own data, whether that's your tone of voice, your brand guidelines, your key products, as much intelligence that you have within the business, and then also some data points as well on performance. And you can basically build call it corporate memory, a brain, a knowledge base. All these terms are the same thing, but it's basically a central housing of all this information. So then when you're using an AI tool, you're not just asking a question and getting an answer back. You're using your very specific information. So it's gonna write it in your tone of voice, because I think we can all detect when something's been written by AI.
Yeah.
It's very easy now, and it's very easy then to get dismissive of a brand. I often get an email and I'll be like, I can see they've just used AI for this. And I'm not really, I don't feel engaged with them, because I'm like, okay, they've just copy and pasted something in here.
Yeah.
So by really integrating this and really thinking about the process, you can make sure that the content that you're putting out is different. We have something called the 10-70-20 rule. It's a leadership principle back from the 70s or 80s. So 10% is about the input and you telling the AI what you want it to do. So setting up like this corporate brain and all this information. 70% of the work that used to be done by ourselves as humans is done by the AI. But the crucial piece is the last 20%. The 20% of us QAing, editing and curating that final piece to make sure that it's authentic to our brand. I think too many people are just copying and pasting what they see and just posting that on LinkedIn, social media, putting it on their website even as well. And so that is the key piece, that we can really make sure the LMs are interacting with your own information and your own data.
Yeah, and you're very right. I think I at least I see that there's a bit more proliferation of text everywhere now. You normally used to go on websites and they were very nicely designed and careful language. Now I feel like where it used to be three sort of words to explain the whole company, now there's a paragraph, because it's just easier to churn out that paragraph. So I suddenly see there's more text windows opening up everywhere. Ricky, speaking of leadership, you just mentioned, and I know that Push is a company which is not just based in UK. You have, I think you have offices in Singapore as well, and multiple countries. How is leadership in this new era of AI, where a lot of people are kind of doing these layoffs, and because creative is not needed and this is not needed? What is kind of Push's strategy? And again, before we jump into that, can you tell us a bit more about sort of the global distribution that Push has?
Yeah, sure. So our head office is here in the UK. We have an office in Dubai, which covers the MENA region, and we have an office in Greece as well, which covers Southeastern Europe. And we work with clients globally as well. So we'll have clients in the US, for example, as well. So when it comes to AI integration, so we made a very deliberate choice to be an AI marketing first company, probably just, over 2 years ago. And so we were already using AI, but we felt like we needed to make a real shift. And that was both from a external positioning, but also internally, so that people can really see that this is the direction that we're going in. And we did lots of things. We did an AI survey. We found out about what people were concerned with, how they were using it, because in all organizations, people are going to be using AI and maybe management don't even know how they're using it. And we use that information then to start to build a policy out, a responsible use policy, an AI manifesto. And then we just, every monthly update that we have with our team, our company updates, we talk about the AI developments that we're running, research projects, and also the success we're having on campaigns for ourselves or for clients as well. So it really is front and central around our communication, both internally and externally. And that way you can get the buy-in from the whole team. We commissioned a survey for ourselves to look at businesses in the UK. And we found that 40% of businesses are struggling to get the AI adoption that they want. And so the challenge really is not around the technology. The technology is already so far advanced, probably more than we would all ever need. The issue is how do we change people's mindsets, and how do we get people to change habits to work in a different way, utilize these tools in a different way. And I think that's the biggest challenge. And that's something as a leadership within our organization, myself and Steve, that we have to lead and work on, so to push people in the direction that we believe is best for them. Because also from a career point of view, if we don't give them the skills to know how to use AI in their careers, then that's going to be a disservice to them, because then that is going to potentially impact their ability to get promoted and their future roles as well, because it's going to be something that all businesses are going to ask in interview. Soon it's going to be, how are you using AI? How would you use AI to help and support in this role?
And I suppose the challenge here, for what I see when I speak to a lot of businesses, is the time the time to kind of upskill the worker, upskill the management, or upskill anyone, versus how by the time you have upskilled things, again, as technology, it's always moved further ahead out. GPT 2 years ago is nothing like what it is now. And 6 months, hopefully, I think you all expect it's a kind of like the fallacy that you have, like once you have seen that progress, that you continuously hope it, like at 6 months is going to be more and more. And I think eventually, I hope not, but I think some things might slow down and we're not going to see as much as updates as we're seeing at the moment. But is that the time horizon is a challenge that is just dramatically so different from what you train it up to be, where I feel like even the policy is just even now catching up. UK was quite good at, hosting the AI summit with security and everything, but things are just so far advanced, and I'm like, they're just stuck at the policy stage. I mean, things are on the implementation side is like tenfold ahead.
Yeah, it's a challenge, and I think we've just taken the view that getting people started is progress.
Yeah.
And as they get started, as long as they understand why they're being asked to use it and how it's going to benefit them, that then it builds that curiosity. And if they start to see that actually has an impact on their work, that they can, outsource to the AI some of the repetitive tasks they're doing, for example, and they can be more strategic and their roles are a bit more fulfilling. And if you can start to get to that point, I think that's where you start to see the shift and the buy-in from the team. Now, we within our own organization, we've had people that are excelling in that journey, and you can see them, they're really adopting it, understand it, coming up with ideas. And then you've seen others who have left the business because they haven't been so engaged with it, and it's been too much of a shift for them to move in the direction we wanted them to go in. But I think all businesses have to take a view or a stance on it. And you raise a good point. If the company doesn't have a stance on their AI policy or where they want to go, then what are the team meant to do? They don't know. So I think leadership is really important to set the stall of, are we going to use AI? If we're going to use it, what we're going to use it for, and how much do we want to lean into it? Because there might be some organizations that say, we're not going to use AI. And that's their prerogative. But at least that way you're setting context and boundaries for the team themselves.
To me, I think that statement sounds like 1990s. I'm not going to use computer. It might be as dangerous as saying that. I don't know whether it is going to be right or wrong, but it certainly seems like it. Everything we do, in fact, even in our business, we can do more work now with less people. And we haven't laid off anyone in that respective any, but it's just we are able to just do more. So that's just been a great advantage. Ricky, I want to go slightly, have a bit of a general questions and slightly go above where we're talking in terms of AI. Can you tell me on an interesting point, what might be one of the best well-kept secret of the ad world that an ordinary person would just never think of it, but you as a professional know, and it might be fascinating for them?
I would say that they probably don't realize how developed the system, and they are AI systems of Google, Meta, TikTok, how developed their algorithms are in terms of targeting products and services, and how much information they're gathering and data points to service the ad to them at the right time. I think if most people knew, they'd probably be quite wary of all that activity. And you're starting to see that. You're starting to see some people resist because they, I was, for example, with my wife, and we were talking about a holiday, and we were talking about TUI, and within 30 seconds, she had a TUI ad on her phone. And that's despite, Meta saying that they don't listen to conversations. But it was really, you could see all these things.
You think they do?
Yeah, I think they do. Yeah, because I've got evidence. That was real evidence of it. It was almost immediate. So, I think to me, it's amazing and scary at the same time, because we can see these tools, like how they work and how we can infinitely scale so quickly. I don't think people would realize. Sometimes when I'm out with friends or I talk to somebody and I tell them, I met this business the other day and they're spending X 100,000 and generating £1 million of sales on this one product. People are just like, what? Like that many people buy that product? I'm like, yeah, they do. And I think some people don't. We've got one-person companies that maybe outsource some services, and they'll be spending £200,000 a month, for example, on Google, and sometimes more than a big corporate would be spending.
Wow, that's amazing. My mind just boggled by that number, that one person would be spending 200K. I guess if they are running a big operation. With the ads, it's always been this, again, me being as a normal consumer and me being a business owner, you get to see the both sides, where I'll be surprised if I have been in the past that you talk about certain something and then suddenly it pops up. And recently it happened with the pots so we're talking about like buying pots for the plants in the office. And suddenly on my Instagram is just pots companies, buy this plastic one, buy this one. And so you do have that. But at the same time, do you think the scary part kicks in by people realizing that this information perhaps can be used against them? Although these Metas, the Googles and all of that, they do not go actively try to, there's no person sitting behind and be like listening to your conversations. And again, they're all trying to serve you ads, and the more they kind of have data on you, they can serve better. In your sort of extensive career, when you've seen, from Yellow Pages all the way to here, have you seen the element of like, okay, this has gone a bit too far now? For the purpose of serving the ads, they're taking so much information that you as an executive, you're like, maybe I should not be using this certain platform because I'm not sure why they're capturing all of this.
I think one of the things probably to draw on would be, let's say, influencer UGC marketing, user-generated content, that is. And what used to happen was you would go and, let's say you had a skincare product, for example. You would find people, ask them to test your product. If they liked it, they would do a review, and then you would use that video. Maybe you would get the rights to use it in an advert, for example. I think what a lot of people don't know maybe is that you can pay people to give you these reviews, and you don't know if the review is authentic or not. So I think when the industry started, it was quite an authentic review. And now you don't know if that's the case because there's a whole industry about it, and you've got people who create videos. And some people will say, well, I will only give you a positive review if I like the product, and others might not. So that's already pushing the boundaries a little bit. For me, one big concern I've got is that we're moving to a world where this can all be done by AI, and you can use an AI avatar to create a review for a product. So we're going to be in a position soon where I don't think the consumer is going to know the difference between a real testimonial to a fake testimonial.
And that's a huge thing because, even from going to which restaurant should I go for or to which clothes should I buy, we humans, we do take cues from what the community is doing or what other people are doing. And if that trust of community can be broken, so let's say if I'm buying a new tech product for the team that everyone's going to be using, my first sort of kind of a test is what the Trustpilot says, which is a kind of a popular review website that a lot of tech companies use. And I've seen them that they have quite a rigorous system of leaving the review and sort of asking it, even for the company that you have reviewed, they can take a look at, and you can have like a bit of an argument like this. They can say that service was just terrible. And you can say like, oh, we don't even remember serving you. Like those things can happen. But let's say I think Trustpilot is a paid sort of service, but businesses who can't, let's say, afford Trustpilot, Google reviews, especially in the hospitality industry, give me the best pizza place next to me. If, as you said, if the reviews are 400, 4.5 and everything, you're going to immediately go, okay, let's just go there. And I think this is an experience I had in Turkey a couple of years ago, that every sort of restaurant or any place I went to, they actively, immediately, even like for a small tea, they will give you like a review card straight away. And you could just say like, it looked like every place that you go has like so many high reviews and everything is great. And it created that image in my head that, of course, all Turkish food is great.
Yeah.
But it's not the case. Like some shops you go to, they have high reviews, but food might be terrible. So I think that is gonna, again, for me, it's a concern that if that can just be done by AI, where, for example, if it's just a text review with a very small, teeny tiny image that you don't even know, can't even see, and these things, especially on Google, these are unverified views, but we do take cues from them. And again, Yelp is a huge business, and it's always been the case. Like, for example, another software reviewing company called G2, I think any software category that you can think of under the sun, they have a review of them. HR, sales intelligence, business intelligence, and you can see like the first ones always have like the most reviews, the most ratings. But if that can be gamed, then I don't see how the trust would be reestablished, I guess.
Yeah, no, so that example, there's been lots of reports there where you can have bots creating accounts, leaving reviews, good and bad, on different accounts, and you're hoping that the platforms, whether it's Google, for example, are picking up that these are fake and not real. So that's one element. But I think the minute you can start, for me, the bigger concern is the minute you can see somebody in a video that's not real, which feels real, and you can't tell the difference, it's we're almost crossing a line of what's real and not real anymore.
Yeah.
Because we're going to be seeing videos and you're going to be very hard to tell the difference of what's AI generated and what's not. You've got so many accounts on Instagram, for example, now that are full AI influencer accounts. And some people know you have to kind
AI
of
models. I've seen them.
AI models. One thing you and the listeners may not know is that I can ask AI to create an image. Of a person in that suits a persona that I'm targeting. I can take that picture, then ask it to turn it into an AI model, and then I can give it a text and turn it into an AI talking video.
Yeah.
And pretty much do that within an hour and deploy it as an ad campaign. And this is being done, I've seen, by businesses at scale. So they can release 500 videos that are not real almost immediately. And I think this is, at the moment, agencies might be doing this, but I think Facebook or Meta are going to be doing this themselves. So there was a comment recently by Mark Zuckerberg where he's basically saying he wants to call like this infinite ad system, where a business or a business like yours, for example, would just connect their bank account, give you a URL, and Meta would create the ads for you, create the targeting, and optimize for you. And you've got no control of that, about who you're targeting, what the image looks like. It's going to do everything. And it's going to be, imagine creating images and videos on the fly that you and I would see different videos, because it will soon be able to do that.
Sounds like an infinite money kind of a bank, that I just connect my bank account once, and 2 days later, money starts coming in because people are just signing up.
And that's the one thing that I picked up on. That whole statement. I was like, why did you need to say we just want people to connect their bank account? Like you didn't need to say that. And that's actually the thing that I took from it. It was like, you're actually really, really open about this. Just saying, I'm just going to take as much money, and don't worry, you're going to get the amazing results. And the job then of businesses like ours will be to interrogate what they're doing and actually see, well, okay, is that real what they're saying? Because they're marking their own homework, right? They're not leaving any room for anyone to question, critique what's being done. But that's the world we're in. So one of the things we're trying to do with businesses is trying to get them to take back a bit of control. It was to your point earlier, is like, okay, what are the things that you can do that gives you a bit more control on different platforms, whether it's on an LLM, whether it's in something like a community like Kajabi or Reddit, for example, as well.
And I have this quote, I say to my team all the time, like, the safest hands are your own. I go by this, that especially, and again, it ties, what we just said, it ties up very nicely to the conversation we are having, that if in 1 year time I can live in a world where I'm a one-person company, and I can start, let's say, any product, and forget about the whole marketing part of it. I can just connect my Google, my bank account, tell them a little bit about what I'm trying to sell. I'm trying to sell plant pots or whatever. Just go serve the ads and get this is the inventory. Just go. And again, even drop shipping and all of those can be automated highly. So it feels like one-time agency of an action. Just do this, and a series of agentic AI can just take over, and then I just collect my money at the end of the week from Stripe. Like, okay, this is how many sales we have done. Is that a scary world, or this is good?
I think for me, it's a little bit scary. I think there's some good in it, in the fact that if we can have some human connection still within that process, that you as an individual working with people, that you still have some human connection with maybe your customers as well. I think that's needed, rather than just doing everything in a full digital way with no control. Because what's scary about that as well is that equally as much as you might be getting money, it could be turned off at any second as well, because you're not in control of that situation. So it's some of the technology for marketers like us are great, and we get excited by them, and that's what's always driven me in this industry and career. But at the same time, it is scary, the direction that we're going in as well.
Ricky, this is a fascinating world with the ads. What are your sort of key insights in terms of small businesses who are one of the popular. So we work with a lot of sort of creators ourselves, and one of the popular questions we face is the pricing issue. They're like, and they run sort of A/B ads, and like with the price of 500, let's say, maybe call it 599 and all of that. This is, I wanna you taking advantage of when you being here, and for the audience, how much pricing and the ad strategy, what are the insights that you have that for businesses, what can be their pricing strategy when they do the ads, especially in terms of their products and services? Do they think that if you are selling, let's say, $1,000 per person, let's say £1,000 per month subscription, normally you would just go straight, at least let's say 2 years ago, you would do search here, you might find another product, okay, maybe they're selling the similar, you look at your competitors. But now with all the tools and everything we have, what would you say as a case study? Like, I want to sell my £1,000 subscription per month. Ricky, who has tons of experience, let's say I'm even talking to your AI, how would you guide them? Step 1, do this. Step 2, and this is, you keep on. What would be the kind of a series journey?
So if you were gonna the strategy, both thinking like what would I do with my experience, but also thinking about AI as well, you would probably go down the route of trying to understand, take your competitors as well, see what your competitors. So you're very easy to get your competitor information, see what ads they're running. That's the first thing. So who else is doing this in the marketplace? Because if they're running ads, you can see how long they've been running the ads.
And
for.
how would you see the ads running? Just for the consumers.
So you would go to something called Facebook. I think if you search Googled Facebook ad preview tool, they have an obligation to show all the ads that are running. So if you know the competitor name, you can go in and just literally see which ads they're running.
You can see the prices and everything, or probably
you can see so depending on if they've put the price on their ad, you'll be able to see it.
Okay. Oh, so I thought not the spend that they're doing. Otherwise,
not the spend. But what you can do is you can see how long they've been running the ad for. So if their ad's been running a long time, it's probably a winning ad for them.
Okay.
Yeah. So as opposed to something they're just testing new, so you can get a good level of detail. You could, for example, take screenshots of those ads, put them in an AI tool, and say, can you, like all the best ones, and say, right, can you break down these ads and tell me what they're doing from a positioning point of view, what they're messaging and what their pricing strategy is. You could take all that information, take your own information about your brand, who you are, what you're trying to achieve, put that into an AI knowledge base, and then say, can you build me a social media marketing plan for the next 30 days? You could say, can you give me some ideas about how I would develop a funnel strategy for this? Because you probably wouldn't go directly for the sale. So you would want to get them into your ecosystem first, probably with some kind of soft giveaway. And so that would be maybe to get the email address, get them into your systems, and then you can run email marketing. But then you could use the AI to develop a series of emails that you're going to send them over 1 week, 2 weeks, 1 month, 3 months. I'm sure you've been on many email lists and bought something 1 or 2 years, 5 years later.
I get rich quick emails every day. So that's still happening. Yeah.
There was one business that I engaged with I bought something from them in 2004. I bought one ebook and then went on a mastermind program with them in like 2014, which was 10 grand a year. And I was on that email list for that long.
Wow.
And because they'd been emailing me that time, I always knew I was going to do something, and there was a point of timing, right? But the point was they got me in the ecosystem very early with a low price product. So that would be something the AI I'm sure would recommend, but for a high ticket value, which you're talking about there, would be start to think about what the things you can do to get people into your ecosystem at a low cost early on. And that could be, you might see from these competitors that even though some of the competitors are running a 1,000, 10,000 product, they might be selling a $7, $14 product. They give away a small piece of their process or IP for a very small amount of money. So they get an exchange, sometimes not even free. So you're like, oh, I'm buying from this company, but I've spent some money. So there's an exchange of value. And they've got some information on a specific pain point. Because then, of course, what you can do is run a whole marketing campaign around a specific pain point that you solve with your product. And then you can upsell them into your wider services at a later stage.
Ricky, I'm signed up to Push's emails. I do get emails from you. And I think this is a strategy you guys deploy yourself as well, that I think strategy insights. This is what's happening. Some of them are news as well. So I'm already engaged in the ecosystem. So I see where you're coming from. I have a question, technical one, and now I'm speaking on behalf of, let's say, business owners who listening to this podcast, but at the same time I have this question. And again, when you are facing, let's say, everyone is slightly in their own sort of universe, that I'm facing this issue with marketing, I'm facing that, and through this medium, I'm trying to get as many kind of general day-to-day problems that you might be facing every day that you are not sure, but because we have you here today, I'm trying to sort of get an answer for them. When you say try to get people into your ecosystem, do you think, in your experience, giving something for free is worth it, or you might want to charge them a little bit? Because I know Push sends me insights and I don't pay for them at all. So yeah.
I think there's a route to do both, and it depends also on your distribution channel, right? Because if you're, for example, going to run ads on Meta, it's going to cost you something. So that's why people then want to charge a low price, because they want to cover the cost of them running an ad. If you're doing something else, like let's say you're doing something I'll take an example. We also run in-person AI workshops, and we run these workshops. Tend to run them with kind of trade associations, and at the end of those programs, we have an AI training program, which then we also give away for free. So in that case, because it's not cost us anything, we've already built the product, we want to get people into our ecosystem, we're happy to give it away. But if we were going to run ads, we might want to charge something, because otherwise it's going to be costing us to generate bringing people into our ecosystem. So I think there is a bit of both. I think it always helps if you can get some exchange of value, because otherwise if you just email something to somebody for free, I don't think there's much value in that. Because somebody's come to one of our workshops, the value exchange is they've given us their time. So we're giving them something back. So I think that's always the way to look at it, because we all know, like, if you have paid for something or invested time, you're more likely to actually read or use that product.
Yeah. Ricky, banking on the insight that you just mentioned, what are the kind of peculiar marketing kind of techniques or branding techniques that you've seen that what you just described, I think it's viable for a lot of businesses. We have done that in the past as well, and has yielded really great results. Something that you have seen in your experience that is just a strategy or a campaign that has just defied all the logics that normally a person would do. In historical perspective, the Apple comes into my mind. Like, don't ask the user what they want, and all these kind of this weird strategies they have, which I personally feel they're kind of dying down now. And they are in the same rut as any other Fortune 500, and I think they've run out of brand capital. Now they are, if the Siri is not working well, I'm going to Gemini, I'm going to ChatGPT, and they're really looking into that. But in the current times, in the last 3 to 5 years, what are the sort of campaign strategies that you've seen that still kind of baffle you, like how they managed to pull that off?
Yeah, so probably the one I would talk about would be native advertising. So when I say native advertising, it's the placement that you talked about that appears on, let's say, news publications. So the Daily Mail might have one, or the Mirror, these types of websites. And you see them, and it has a little bit of a clickbaity type headline. So it'll say something like, see how 50-year-olds are saving money on their pension. Something like that. So
like Daily Mail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you see something, so it's related. So you're qualifying the age profile that you want to see. And they click on that native. So it looks like an article.
Mm-hmm.
It then goes to a page, which is an article, which just has this information on there. And then from there, it has another call to action to be like, oh, if you want a free review or you want to get an appraisal of your pension, click here and go to another website. And what astounds me with those campaigns is the volume of leads that you can generate and the amount of people that take action. And it defies logic to your question, because you would think if I put the form on that article, it would work, but it doesn't. It has to have the step of show the article first and then have a link to another website where they can fill in the information.
Kind of like the Substack strategy a lot of people have. that in their LinkedIn's everywhere, they just like subscribe to my Substack. I follow this podcast, All In Podcast from America. One of the members of there, he has a very popular Substack. So he gives like kind of financial market analysis and all of that. But in the beginning it was free. Now I went back to it after a very long time, and it's like a $5 charge to this and all of those things. So one would assume that no amount of people are going to do that, but turns out he was talking about the amount of members who signed up just increased like threefold or something, because people, as you're saying, that if there's a small value exchange, people are okay. I've spent $5. I'm gonna actually see what's in there. And sometimes they find it useful, sometimes they don't. But just because they're paying a very small amount, they'll go to that app again first. And again, they can sell something higher afterwards as well. Does this behavior is applicable to social platforms as well, where one spends ages trying to do the best reel, the best video, hoping that, someone would catch up on it? Does that still apply there as well?
Yeah, the same thing. I mean, but all the ad platforms have a really easy way for you to gather information, and actually works best because it stays within the ecosystem. So you say that you've got a guide to something, an information packed, you probably have done it yourself. Name, email, phone number is already pre-populated, and you can just click on that, and then it generates, it gives you a content piece and also the details of that person. So it's a strategy that's used a lot as well.
Brilliant stuff. Ricky, I want to jump into platforms now, especially social platforms. I want to talk about two major ones which I feel like have the most kind of interesting dynamics going on for them based on both creative and how they are sort of breaking in the ad market. Number one is TikTok. So crazy stories everywhere that in Jan, I think when President Trump came around, they were about to get banned and all of those things, and they're going for a sale and all of those things. So it's just been a crazy dynamic as a platform that they created this algorithm which tells you, you type in cars and suddenly everything you do is cars. You type in plants and stuff, everything is plants. Ages ago, we signed up to TikTok, and then back in my sort of TEDx days, and we rose it to almost like 120,000, and I have it all documented, like literally in a span of 6 weeks. It's crazy because we were just putting so much content out, and people were liking so much. We got enrolled into the ad program. They started paying us and all of that. I mean, it was like 10p a day, 20p a day. But now we log back into it. It has shifted from just serving ads on social to become a huge e-commerce platform. And we feel like they're trying to be Amazon Prime plus Amazon itself, but for like micro products. And then in UK, we're suddenly starting seeing this Amazon Whole, I think, where it's cheap products which are like in cents, but you buy them in bulk. I don't know, like paper, like sticky notes, like some really like small ticket items. And I want to understand that what are the dynamics of ads and ad policies and social there, where the platform is not just social anymore. It's a huge kind of e-commerce ecosystem. Meta has this as well with Instagram, but especially YouTube and TikTok, I feel like are quite huge in terms of their outreach. What are your sort of perspectives on that?
Yeah, so I think a lot of this has come from the Asian market, where they call it social commerce and live commerce has been massive for a while, and it's something I remember going to China maybe in like 2018. And seeing it then and seeing, okay, this is going to come at some point in the UK.
What did you see there?
We were just speaking to the agencies. We were there, a bit of a roadshow that we did, and seeing how you were using their phones for commerce, because we were in China at the time. You got to remember, a lot of the China market bypassed even going to a PC. Their first experience of going online wasn't a mobile.
Wow.
So it just changed the nativeness of how they used a mobile phone and what they did. So they were using it already to buy things, pay for things already. And we just had different habits here, right? So it's taken a while to change that. And yet they've been really pushing hard TikTok Shop. That's been their key driver, for example. But it's really, the brands that I've spoken, we don't run campaigns on there, but some of ourselves, but we know some of our clients do, and we know other people that do on there. And we found everyone's found it can be rewarding, but they found it quite challenging because you need to be doing a lot of lives. It's not like, oh, I'm going to go and do one live a week.
Yeah.
You're doing multiple lives a day. You're having to be really salesy. You're sometimes the ethos of how you're trying to sell on live shopping is not aligned to your brand values. So there's all these considerations that can come in. Also, as well, like in terms of how they get paid from TikTok, they've got to be some discounts on there. How TikTok will promote and value them depending on how many sales. It's a hard game to play. It can be very rewarding. There's some really good specialist people that work on it. But we found that a lot of brands are, I would say the majority are not engaging in that because they see it as still too difficult to get involved with, or they feel like it doesn't align to their brand values. They might run ads on the platform for promotion and awareness, but the actual social commerce and using them as like Amazon, like a distribution partner, is something not many of the businesses we work with have gone fully into yet.
I want to talk about YouTube immediately because the dynamic we see is that people, the creators like Charlie D'Amelio, that sprung up and huge on TikTok, but then immediately they knew that the payments were not there. Or again, it is this dynamic playing out. So they use it as a kind of a, I wouldn't say click funnel, but like a funnel to YouTube, because YouTube still does pay more. Why do you think YouTube, being the kind of the oldest dog in the whole business, and they have never really caught on to the commerce side of things? That, for example, me, I'm going back to, I cannot go on YouTube, although we publish our talks and everything on YouTube, but you never thought of like commoditizing the YouTube market in a way that we don't have the AdSense turned on either. So it's just purely like a distribution, like just go there, watch it for free. Why do you think YouTube hasn't sort of caught on to the fact that, maybe they can have a bit of an e-commerce to it and people trust it a bit more? Or do you think that the dynamics are just not there at all for that?
I can comment really from let's say from the clients we work with and how they try and promote their products. Now within Google products, they have a product which does display, let's say you're an e-commerce site, it will put your products on YouTube videos automatically for you. Those who are allowing ads on their videos.
Yeah.
And the algorithm's sophisticated enough to know that, okay, this person came to the site or is interested in this product set, and it almost shows them products across all the Google distribution networks, whether it's Gmail, YouTube, search, display, all of these different areas. So we know YouTube has an impact, and we can see that it has an impact on revenue and sales and awareness. But I think one of the reasons a lot of people haven't developed it themselves and put it in their own asset creation has been that there's a very specific formula that needs to work, and it's quite hard for the content production to promote the product well in video. That, though, is starting to change, or could change more as AI lends itself to people being able to develop these type of videos once they figure out let's say the secret sauce. There's a methodology behind how you can make effective e-commerce videos, but we've not seen that many people do it that well because I think the effort to reward is not aligned at the moment.
You would assume that YouTube does, if I'm not wrong, pays the highest among any social media platforms natively with the Google AdSense. But you recommend you're thinking that the effort it takes to even reach there is way higher than one should start something else in their life, I guess. Not be a YouTuber.
No, I think more from I'd say more for, well, there's two. Yeah, now the effort to do that is quite difficult. But I think the effort to sell directly from there is challenging. That's a separate thing entirely to like the content production side of things.
So you recommend that people go back to the method you mentioned, that try with something small, get people into the ecosystem, and then try to sort of see.
Yeah, exactly. And we've seen that a lot. That's where a lot of people have success, whether they're selling, a guitar, learn to play the guitar course.
Yeah.
And getting people into something small product, free course, building them into that, and then building them into the ecosystem, as opposed to that tends to work quite well because you've got to have a high volume of people watching it, and then they go, oh, this looks interesting. I'm willing to take the next step to get a little bit of information instead of making that full purchase at that point.
Brilliant. What are the things that small businesses do and they should learn from, let's say, all the big corporations that you work with, the strategies, and the other way around as well? Because one always assumes that, oh, because they're so big, they're doing it, they've got the money. And the other way around as well, though this doesn't work for us. Exactly, going back to our first conversation, that my customers are not on here because I don't click on here. I think that kind of narrative exists both sides. But you being interacting with both sides, what do you think the size of the business can learn from each other?
Well, it's not always the case that the big corporations are the most advanced. We work with some, and companies we've come across. Sometimes the biggest ones might not have their house in order compared to some of the smaller ones. So that happens a lot as well. I think if we look probably specifically at creative, I think that's something which is now with AI it's a level playing field. So like I said before, it's quite easy to go and see what creatives are working well in the industry, and you can Google things, you can find resources. There's generally, you can Google like high converting creative, performance creatives, for example. So these are creatives that are going to work in advertising that you can use. And there's set templates and formulas now that work, that have been tested by bigger corporations. So what you can do is you can take the methodology of these and you can use AI to start to produce creatives for you to test, right? And when you're running, let's say you're running advertising on something like on Meta, really the thing that you got at the moment, this may change, the thing you have the most control of is the creatives you can input into the system. So naturally, if you put more creatives into the system, you have more opportunities to test, see which ones are working, and then scale those winners. And now it's made it quite easy to go and identify, okay, what are the creatives that the big corporations or companies that are growing fast, let's say, are using, and then a smaller business can adapt those and use them for themselves.
I love that strategy. Ricky, I would want to jump on more on the personal side of things. I want to ask you, where do you see, as personally, you've been in this space for a very long time, the AI is the latest of the waves that you've seen so many other waves coming. What is next for you personally? Where do you see your career? Where do you see what wakes you up now, and what makes you exciting that, okay, I want to keep on going? Or what are your sort of plans for future?
Yeah, I think, well, what wakes me up in the morning is, I think we're in a period of change. So that's always been something that's driven me. So we're in a period of change. So it gives you the opportunity to be creative and test things and do new things. So it's exciting to go through this kind of transformation again. I've been through it before, both in the computer component distribution and then the digital marketing. So it's nice to be in it again. And now I've got the learned memory of how to go through it. So it's an exciting time. We obviously have our offices in Greece and in Dubai, in MENA as well. So, we're looking to continue to grow those out. Me personally, as I work as one of the co-founders to support the growth of all three of those businesses. They're in nice locations, so that should allow me to spend a bit of time traveling more. I think what's going to be interesting for me personally, and maybe for my team, organization, and company, I think, especially when we think about AI, is, and we're already a bit more remote. Like we used pre-COVID, we were 4 days in the office, 1 day working from home. Now we're 2 days in the office, 3 days working from home. And how things may evolve, like we still want that human connection, but I certainly think there's room within my organization and maybe for myself as well to have this ability to work in more exotic places and see the world. I love traveling. So if I could see the world, travel more, and still help, our different businesses in different locations grow, that would be fantastic for me.
Amazing stuff. Ricky, you do have a tradition on the pod. We ask the guests what has been that one book that has been the most transformative in their life. Can be personal, can be business. And what we're going to be doing is going to be buying that book, PDF, whatever version it is, and giving out to a member of audience, and then connect you with that audience member. We feel like that is someone who has spent that time listening to this pod. That's kind of a gift from us to them. What would be that book from your side?
Yeah, so it'd probably be Cash Flow Quadrant. Robert Kawasaki, I think is how you pronounce his surname. He also had another book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Oh, yes. Robert, yes, I think I read that one.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
So yeah. Rich Dad, Poor Dad was first, and then we had the Cash Flow Quadrant. I think it's a really, really great book to help you understand how this world really works from a finance perspective, and the things you need to think about for you, whether you're a business owner or working in a business, the things you can do to take a bit of control, so you can maybe have a life once you quit your career that's not so maybe reliant on a job. Because one of the challenges we all face today in this world is we're all working very hard.
Yes.
Things are very expensive.
Yes,
saving is hard, and building a nest egg is difficult. Everybody wants to probably retire and go traveling at some point. And I think this book really helps you to understand how money works in society and what you can do to influence that so that you can be more control of your future destiny.
Ricky, for people who want to connect with you, what's the best way?
LinkedIn's the best way. So yeah, you can find me, search for my name, Ricky Solanki, Push Group, and connect with me. And then we have this AI training course. So if anybody would like that, if they connect with me on LinkedIn, we can make sure that they get that course as well.
Thank you so much for being on the pod, Ricky. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Great. Thank you very much.